Okay. Yeah, so we had a good title, like whoever walks with the smart will become smarter. This was our idea, and actually we have a very good name for the project back in Lisbon. It's not called, we don't call it Smart Cities, we call it Smart Move. But yeah, we've been thinking about this, and now you have to walk with me a little bit back to the past, because for the last 3 years in Portugal we have been developing initiatives to have big data in the statistical office. So we started with electricity smart meters 3 years ago, and then we had a mobile networks initiative for tourism 2 years ago. Then we went back to electricity smart meters last year. And we were having always some kind of problems on getting the data, on privacy issues, because the data was very connected with the people. And then we thought, okay, so if we go with smart devices, probably some of the issues that are really related with people, then they will not be a thing. So let's, and we had learned this with the smart electricity smart meters. And so this was an idea, and the other one was because we wanted to have a new statistical product. A little bit different because we wanted to include more big data. So currently we're using big data a lot on consumer price index, for example, as you are probably. And in the other fields, it's just supporting our operational statistics. So it's not really used to produce a visible product that you can show to the people, the common people. So we thought, okay, maybe if we do something completely different, and for the first time now we decided to have a product that would just target one city that was going to be Lisbon. So every other thing that we produce is more at the country level or for European level, but this one was going to be for the city. So I'm going now to go into the goals that we had, because this is not my only slide. Okay. Yeah, and this is not the only one either. So our goals were to get to know the city. And I forgot to say thank you to the organizers of the conference, not only for inviting me here, but also for placing me after Rob, because Rob was saying, just at the end of his presentation, he was saying, yes, we have a very impressive transportation management system, and they work on the here and now. So they do the management on a daily basis, and that's it. And this is effectively what you need for management on the transportation system, for example. But if you want to know the city, and when we're working in official statistics, we are giving advice and giving information to support decision making. And so if you want to get to know the city, you cannot forget what happened yesterday and the day before. You want to learn from what happened, and you want to be able to predict what's going to happen in the future. So for us, getting to know the city is a completely different thing from the people that we have already operating at the transportation system level, for example, at the bike sharing, at so many initiatives that we have already in the smart city. So all these that we have here, they are actually held by the city council, the public transportation system, the control on the roads, the sharing bike sharing system, the cars, if you want to rent a car. So it's actually, when you are a user, you feel that it's everything is very well integrated. As Marco was asking if the data is being integrated behind, you have this feeling, I live in Lisbon and I have the city card from Lisbon, and I can get into a bus, and then with the same card I can rent a car immediately. I just go to the park, I select the next hybrid vehicle that is loaded, and I can go, and then I decide, okay, actually it's a nice day, it's not like snowing like in Wiesbaden. I can go and grab a bike and go near the river and have a beer or something. So you have the feeling as a user that this is really connected and integrated, and you have cool apps that say, okay, there's a place to leave your car in this park, and if you put it there, then you will not be charged because you're using the city cars sharing system. So it's very, very convenient for the user. But actually, they don't know the city. They know case by case, but they don't know the city. And what is worse is that the government doesn't know the city. Yes, and this is actually, so if you talk about Lisbon, for example, in the past we had households for capacity for 1 million people, so not counting the hotels. So 1 million people could live in Lisbon. Only 500,000 people live in Lisbon, actually live and stay for the night. But 2 million people come to work every day, okay? So people, you have areas that are not used anymore for sleeping, but then people come to work. So you have a lot of cars coming in the morning, lots of people moving around. And then you have, in average, you have 9 tourists per every one person in Lisbon. And this is average. So I can tell you in November and April, when it rains, we have like 3 tourists for every Portuguese person. And when it's sunny, May, June, then we have like 15, 20, 23, 30. It can get really mad and crazy. So this creates a lot of problems, not just for managing the city on a day by day. We do it, we survive. But if you want to deal with problems, because in some areas, the Airbnb situation, for example, is creating the kind of pressure to the government and to the security enforcement and everything. So you have people who don't live there anymore. The households are empty during 1 month, 2 months, and this is very unsafe. And most people, so the 500,000 people who live in Lisbon, are actually older people mainly. So this creates a lot of problems that if you don't know the city, you cannot act on them. So our goal was to develop a new product. We felt there was a need, and we had the space here to do this, so we wanted to get to know the city at several levels. So with the smart devices, with the information that people are already giving, like tourists saying what they felt about going to some place or having this restaurant experience, or people sharing information on how is the road when they're going to work this morning. Also on the weather conditions, it's very important that Lisbon stays sunny. So yeah, the idea was to get to know the city and get to know how many people, and maybe with some profiling. As Rob was saying, we don't want to know exactly who is there, but maybe if it's a child, or if it's a grown-up, if it's a tourist, or if it's a Portuguese person, this kind of information. So get to know the city. And this was our goal for the outside, but of course we also had goals for the NSI, and the goals were to start partnerships. So as I told you in the beginning, we had some projects on big data, and they failed. Well, they succeeded in a way because we produced results, but they failed for the long time. Okay, because probably, and this is a very personal point of view, we were not able to establish a partnership. So we were using data for the electricity smart meters, for example. We got data for 2 months. We did a very good proof of concept. Oh, thank you. And the results were very, very promising. So at the beginning, we were thinking just about to use the data to understand if the house was being used or not. But then we could actually detect patterns in the data that would say, okay, maybe it's being used even for Airbnb because they use the house in a different way at different hours. So we could even say these kind of things. Actually, also we could use the electricity consumption for the tourism because in the hotels you could see how things were going much faster than waiting for our regular statistics for the hotels, even for the industry. So we were very, very happy, and we said, okay, we can totally use it, let's do it for real, and then data stopped coming. And yeah, it was a private company, and you know about the data market, and if you don't, Cybernetica will be able to tell you more about it. So yeah, data has value, and now they're not giving us the data. So the idea also for this project was to have partnerships and to do it between the Portuguese NSI with the data provider that would be the city council, so public administration, safer than private companies, or so we thought, and with the university. Okay, so this is what we did. And the goals for the house was to get to know the city, but also to set up a big data infrastructure inside the house, instead of the current project-by-project approach that we have. So what is happening nowadays is that you have a small team and they're working with satellite images, so they're doing everything in a pipeline and delivering a result, but it's not connected to the other group that is also working with big data, but that is studying the electricity smart meters, or with the others that are doing web scraping for touristic reviews. So we wanted to have a big data infrastructure that would cover all bases and make things more systematic. So, for example, to do the data hunting and to discover which data sources are interesting in a systematic way, so that we could then integrate things and we could know what we have inside the house and how things would integrate. And given that warehousing all the integrated data is too expensive and supporting the virtual data integration is impossible, so we would like to introduce visualization techniques to deal with this big data. Because our users are still used to, okay, I want the data, give me it in a table with, well, what do you want to see? All the variables, and then I will decide what I need. Yeah, and this is traveling now to our data providers, because when we go and tell them, okay, can we take a look at your data, see if it's interesting for the public good, and they say, okay, what would you like? And it's very difficult to keep my people from saying, we want everything, all the variables, give us everything and then we decide. And this is a major obstacle, so we have to avoid doing that. And we were aiming at providing these visualization techniques, including item reduction, clustering already when they see the information, some filtering, and well, attribute reduction projections. So this was the visualization team that helped me here. It's not my cup of tea, but the idea was visualizing the georeferenced big data in new ways. Okay. So, in fact, one of the main results would be knowledge transfer. Okay. So this project, in January 2018, we signed a protocol with the City Council to have the data from the smart sensors, so lots of data, and with the university, so to start in September with 12 PhD students in several areas, and we would target the big data infrastructure, the algorithms, machine learning, and then the visualization, and they would work with us, and we would learn, and they could fulfill our needs as they were appearing, so we had a very good plan. But, yeah, most data from sensors would come from the City Council. And we supposed that this was not a problem. In fact, we even had a protocol with them. But before summer, the Science and Technology Foundation just decided to promote creating and modernizing statistics in Portugal, which seemed like a very, very good idea to me at the time. But the problem is that now they want to produce the statistics themselves. Yeah, because the statistical office, we have many problems. I will not say that it's because we are an institution with legacy, but it's, for example, we cannot use the open cloud. We cannot put data in Amazon cloud or something like that, even if we'd like. But for them, it's easy today. They have all these packages and libraries. Everyone can run a package or a library to use some machine learning. I have a son, he's 11. When he was 8, he was using machine learning to crack passwords at home. So my passwords at home are 41 letters long. So, yeah, but you see, it's easy. And it's less expensive nowadays, the data storage. So even if they are doing management on day-to-day basis, they can evolve to a different situation quite quickly. So, in fact, it seems that there's no reason why they shouldn't do the statistics. Of course, there are lots of, so we had a protocol signed and everything. So, but the problem is that there are a lot of reasons, but we cannot get the reasons across to them, at least in my perspective. So we cannot show them, or to the public, to the general public, that getting very excited about one statistic and producing some nice result with machine learning and having a model for 2 months is nice, but we need it for the longer term. That having some new product before summer would be exciting, but then is it sustainable? How did you manage to get it? Does it really mean anything, or is just something that looks cool and has the sexy colors but will not give you any information behind that? So they didn't actually say that they would not give us the data. They are just creating problems and ways to delay things. So since September, first, of course, they said that the data was not integrated. So the guys from the bicycles, they use the same card as the guys from the public transportation system, but as the systems don't talk, we would have to talk with separate teams, which is okay. We said we can do that. It took us 2 or 3 weeks to assemble things inside, but yeah, we can do this. Okay, then after these 2 or 3 weeks, you get the meetings to happen. Of course, it takes another month, and then it's like, okay, but we're not really archiving data, so how should we transfer the data? And for some has to be on a daily basis, for others has to be on a week basis. For some we could encode transmission and have it streaming, but then lots of technical problems come up. So it's January and it's February tomorrow and nothing is happening. And yeah, I'm trying to be positive about this. I know that somehow we will manage to go ahead, but this is very frustrating. And it's the 3rd time that it happens because, okay, this was our smart move, but we started with big data and we had the same problems. So I'm thinking that the trusted part in the smart statistics, it's really the most important one. That trusted on our methods, trusted on our reasons to do things in the way that we do. But the problem is how to get this across. So, because I feel that if we had a small product where we could show, then people would be embarking in our ideas. But if we have all these problems to create the first product, then how can we manage? This is a vicious cycle, and I'm always getting to the starting point again. So they create obstacles, they are making things unfeasible, so it's even worse now. Yeah, and it's even worse now that we are competing for the same government research funding. So we need to show that we produce. And as Martina said yesterday, very well at the beginning, we have to be able to produce evidence of our quality work and our trusted smart statistics. But as I'm not really seeing the way for the trusted smart statistics, I will be happy to answer your questions as well as I can, but I would expect some answers or ideas or input or at least information. Are we the only ones facing this question, even with public administration? So how can we? So yes, thanks for your attention, and please give me answers.